Hello everyone, back again. As you can tell, times are hard, a bit more jowly, stubbly, the hair still mad scientisty. I haven't done a video for a little while, various bits and pieces, but various reasons, but I thought I'd jump back on the bandwagon now that it's the 1st of July. Arsenal's new kit has just been launched with Adidas, and so I thought, you know what, now feels like a good time just to get back into it. You know, it's about to start, pre-season training's about to start again, which means there'll be pre-season friendlies and whatnot. And so let's start the new 2019-20 season today. We'll start with the end of last season. There were so many times towards the end of that campaign where we could and should have at least finished in the 4th spot. Even now, you know, I'm looking back at it now. I've been talking to fellow Gooners, and you know, we're after today's kit launch. Well, I say today's, everyone saw it a couple of days ago, but the kit launch suddenly got us all excited again. So I was looking back at it and I was just thinking, but look at the way we finished the season again. It just went a bad old Arsenal again, didn't it? Really, it was lackluster. Games against teams like Palace and whatnot. It all stems back, really, I reckon, from the Tottenham game at Wembley. We'd scored that penalty in the last minute. Whole different season for both teams. You know, and as it was, we got to the end of the season when we were dreading the worst possible, conceivable notion that we would lose the Europa Cup final and Spurs would win the Champions League. I always thought that Liverpool would do it. They got there last year. I thought they'd have too much with Spurs, as it was on the end at the end of the day. The Champions League final, I think actually Spurs gave them a decent enough game, but I just think Liverpool were just too powerful for them. But we got to Europa League final, a cup competition that Unai Emery has won plenty of times in the past. We didn't turn up. There were a couple of times when we could have had penalties, a couple of shirt tugs on Lacazette. Iwobi's finish was top draw, to be fair. But you know, it was one of those games where in the build-up to it, I can remember in the build-up to it, everyone was saying, oh, Chelsea are missing this player, Chelsea are missing it. I was guilty of it. I was saying, oh, Ruben Loftus-Cheek out, that's good for us. You know, I was saying before, if you stick a man on Hazard, that's dangerous play, because he'll just pull that player out of position. What you need to do is stop the ball getting to him in the first place. That's my whole thing, when you're in defence, is stop the ball getting to the opposition playmakers. Once you do that, especially against teams like Spurs, like Chelsea, stop those players from getting the ball in the first place. They become non-effective as a team unit, because Chelsea especially, they had nowhere else to go. But for Arsenal to capitulate in the way they did, and against Olivier Giroud, who they must know about, surely. You know, you don't need to be trained against or, you know, coached against this player. They must have played against him in 5-a-side footballs. Only last season. You know, he only left the Christmas before. You know, it's not like he's new to the Premier League. It's not like he's new to these players. Even in international games, they must have trained and played against him before. So I don't understand how you can allow that type of player that time and space. I used to have a lot of time for Olivier Giroud. I haven't got a massive problem about the whole, oh, thanks Arsenal. He's trying to fit in. He wants to be at Chelsea. He was bombed out at Arsenal for Aubameyang, when probably, you know, maybe some other players could have gone and made way for him instead. Players move on, whatever, you know. It left a bad taste in the mouth, I guess, but only because it was sour grapes over the way, you know, his new team had won the Europa League, and the way we'd been so ineffectual, whichever ineffective you want to put in there. It was just insipid. There was a lot of grief about Petr Cech being put in goal, but this is what Arsene Wenger used to do. It's what Unai Emery was clearly doing. I don't think it made any difference having Petr Cech in goal in terms of his professionalism. He's a professional footballer at the end of the day. He didn't want to lose a game. He didn't want to lose against Chelsea, especially going there. I know it sounds weird, but going there the next couple of weeks, it would have been like, all right, Pete, we'll beat you in the final, mate. There was all this nonsense talk about him getting a medal anyway because Chelsea had so many commissioned. He wanted to he's a winner. He wouldn't want to have lost, especially not in the way we did. So I wasn't that fussed about that. I thought it was probably the strongest team that he could have picked, Unai. He got it wrong, and that now brings us. So that's the end of that season, but that brings us now into this season. I was prepared to let Unai Emery have a not a free hit last season, but it almost was one, in terms of, look, whatever it is different from Arsene Wenger. I personally didn't want Arsene Wenger to go. I think, if you look at it now, I think, especially this transfer window, and in the winter one, in the winter transfer window just gone, he was saying about how, I've mentioned before in my videos, we had to get loan players in. I think it shows you that Arsene Wenger was working under an extreme set of rules and conditions, and he was too magnanimous to blame that on the club. Unai's come in and he's not that fussed about that. He's going, he came out last. We're going to get loan signings, whereas Arsene would have said, we're looking at this player, we're looking at that player, blah 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 blah. Now, we are, as of today, supposedly have put a £40 million bid in for Zaha. Now everyone knows that's not going to be enough. So it does make you wonder where that is going. Are these just bids to make the fans buy the shirts? Because surprise, surprise, we slap a £40 million bid in for Zaha on the same day we officially launch our new shirt. Tierney looks like a decent buy from Celtic. It could be a case of the John Robertsons there that Liverpool got hold of. But it's this whole Aubameyang again now thing. Is he going to go to United? I don't believe he's going to go to United. I don't think United want him. They're going to have to pay in excess of £50 million for a 30-year-old player. But if he gets into the Champions League, it sort of nullifies that. But there's no sell-on fee unless he goes to somewhere like China or something. There's no loyalty or anything like that in terms of football anymore. So there's no reason why he wouldn't go. We've seen Van Persie do it recently, and he'd been at Arsenal a lot longer than Aubameyang had. But if we're even entertaining those ideas to make room in the squad for someone like Zaha, then it's a false economy. If the Zaha bid is true, I don't think it is. But I think you'll see again now that the transfer dealings this window will be 15 to 20 million pound players. Ramsey's gone, but he went on a free. Petr Cech's gone, but he went on a free. But there's two big wages off the bill. Danny Welbeck's obviously going to go, or has gone. And I'm a little bit. He's another one. He's one of those ones. He's good to have around the squad. What I don't mind doing, right? This is personal to me. This is what I think would be all right, and I think we've done this before. And the fans got behind the manager at the time. All right, the manager was Georgie Graham. That's a different era, but it was Adidas shirts. Bring Arsenal youth play through. Emil Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson. Maybe even try sticking Ainsley Maitland-Niles in midfield where he should be. He's not a fullback. He's been covering there. He shouldn't be there. But bring the youth through this season. He should have done it last year when he had this free hit. But now he's got to produce again. Now he's really got to produce. Because we faded so badly at the end of last season when, love him or hate him, wanted him in or out, Arsene Wenger's teams at the end of the season picked up points. because he knew that that's when you did it. That's when you got into the Champions League. That's how because people were fighting and scrabbling around. Yes, he'd had 22 years of it. He knew what the Premier League was all about. Unai was probably thinking, oh, you know, they're safe. They're not that worried. They've got their feet on the beach or whatever. Teams don't do that in the Premier League, right? Now this season, 2019-20, he's not going to have the luxury of being able to fall back on that. He's going to have to. He knows what the Premier League is all about, or he should do now. So it's going to be harder for him to use the youth team because he needs to get back in that top four. And we were only this far away from the greatest Spurs side that's ever played football. You know, we weren't far away from them in the league. So I'll give him that. And we played attacking football. It made a difference. We were a different team. At the beginning of the season, we were... I certainly were more uplifted. You didn't know what was going to happen in terms of playing the bigger teams. We had the turnaround against Tottenham at the Emirates. We played a decent game against Liverpool. We were unlucky against Chelsea in the second game of the season. We got a bit of a tonking up at Anfield, but I still maintain that was a lot of that was down to spawning goals. But there was something, there's something there. But as I say, that was the time to really bring in the running, the games against Crystal Palace and all that. Like that's when you bring in your lads. That's what Fergie used to do. He used to bring them in towards the end of the season. They get a little taste, and then next season they'll be ready to go, and they'll be hungry and they want it because they've had a little smidge of it, and then it's like, right, let's get you in. If you've had that little bit, and look at the players that Ollie's buying now. He's buying youth players or younger English players that want to play for Manchester United. I can't remember the winger they bought, but they bought Aaron Wan-Bissaka from Palace, which is going to make it harder, ironically, for Arsenal to sign Zaha if that is a genuine transfer bid, because they've just lost one of their other better players. But he's buying players that are going to want to come in and do well for Man United. They're not your Pogbas, your Lukakus, your Herreras, anyone like that. They're not ready-made stars. And Ollie's going to go out there and say, look, we haven't got the squad that we had in the reserve team that we did when I was at the club, but that's what we want. We want hungry, young players. They'll make mistakes, but I'm not going to can them. I'm not going to drop them in on it when they do. Make mistakes now, be a better player next year. Let's build towards the future. Look at Liverpool with Trent Alexander-Arnold. They've signed Oxlade-Chamberlain and bits and pieces, like young English players that are going to make mistakes but are going to be better players for it. Why not? He's come in, the players that he got given weren't up to the task or didn't rate him or don't want to be there. Fine, off you go. If there's one thing he would have learnt from Fergie, it's like, you're not bigger than the club, I'll get rid. And if I get rid of you, the fans will be on my side when I turn around and say he thinks he's bigger than this club and there's no one bigger than this club. I'll get rid of him. The fans will be on my side and they'll see that I'm a strong manager. That's what I think that he's going to do, and that's what Unai's got to do. He's got to come in and get these young players in that want to play for Armour. Emil Smith-Rowe, I'm going to say the three names again. Emil Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson and Ainsley Maitland-Niles. These are three young players at least that want to play for Arsenal. They've come through the youth team. They don't want to be off on loan. They don't want to be shipped out again. They want to play for Arsenal. They've got it there in the bags. They've played for them for years. They want to say to their family and friends, I told you I'd make it there. I told you I'd be an Arsenal player. They want to do that. Give them the chance now, because I genuinely don't think we're going to see a massive great influx of players in the transfer window. I think all the transfer dealings out the door are done. I don't think we're going to see anyone else. Maybe Mustafi might go. Maybe Koscielny might go, but again, even though they're both like this, I wouldn't want to see them both go in the same window. I think we need to keep some experience at the club. But man, Arsenal, they do it to you every time. You always feel you're just one or two players short of where you should be on the next level. When Arsene Wenger was on his decline, so to speak, we were just one or two players away from finishing second, moving up to there. Then as he came down, we were one or two players away from fourth. Last year, we were one or two players away from getting back into the Champions League. That's where we always are, mainly because of the coach. The owner. Now, there was a public... what do you want to call it? Because it wasn't a protest. there were people down at the Armory today. I'll mention him by name. You can tag him in if you want. Colin, Heavy D. I've commented on his posts with a toy megaphone down at the Armory, going on, bleating on about how we're being rinsed by Kroenke and we shouldn't be buying the new shirts and we shouldn't be putting money into the club. He's doing it outside the Emirates, outside the Armory, wearing a brand new shirt. This shirt's only went on sale this morning. This clown is out there saying we're being rinsed and we shouldn't be buying the shirts. Don't buy the shirts then, mate. We've all got old school shirts. I've got the original 92 winning season shirt upstairs. Don't buy a new shirt. Wear that. I can still fit it, just a little bit, but I can still wear it. I can still love my club. I can still follow my club. I can still want the owners out. But the best way of doing it is not giving them this. They want your money. And you're down there and they're laughing at you. Because the fans are laughing at you. Because you're out there giving it the large with a toy belt and a stupid toy megaphone that you bought from Fisher Price. Give it a large about being rinsed. Well, if you didn't spend 70 quid on the shirt, you had to buy 70 because it's, you could have bought an actual megaphone. Not one that you had to put batteries in. These sort of protests aren't going to work. They don't care about season ticket. They don't want season ticket holders at the club. I'll tell you what, I've mentioned this before and say it again. They don't want season tickets at the club, really. They make £3,000 a seat on a club level seat, and £1,100 on a season ticket. Yeah, that's lovely. It's great, guaranteed income. But what they actually want is someone to come in and spend money in the Armory, spend money in the pub, spend in the ground, buy their sweets, buy their crisps, buy a bottle of water, do all the stuff inside the thing, go and buy a new shirt, buy a flag, all that sort of stuff. They want those fans because they generate more money on a match day. 50 quid for a ticket, hundreds of pounds inside the ground at a time. Beautiful. A season ticket holder will spend his money £1,000 on the ticket over a full season. That doesn't really work out as a great deal of money. They won't generally spend money in the ground. They'll go and have a beer before they get there. They certainly won't buy food because they know it's overpriced, and they won't do any of the merchandise shopping. They'll do it through the season or whatever. They don't want that. It's all about the money. We all know that, and we get that. It's fine. Kroenke wants to make his money and spend it on his teams in America or whatever. So the only way of getting him out of the club is to stop him making money. And to stop him making money is to stop buying the merch. It's a shame because the new Adidas video makes the kit look absolutely fantastic. And it's it's the nicest kit we've had for a long time, I'll give you that. I like the yellow kit. Not too sure about the green training kit with the splash on it. I do like the snood, strangely enough, but we've gone back to that level. Snoods and Sammy and Nasri. But there we are. It's a new season. Transfer window opened on July 1st. Technically, I'm doing this quite late at night. It's now 12:15 in the evening, so it's now July 2nd, so the transfer window's been open for a little while. No genuine transfer stories for me. The Aubameyang one out and the Zaha offer, I don't think are genuine. We'll see as that goes on, but at the moment, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a little bit suspicious that these stories leaked on the day we sold our brand new kit. Thanks for watching me for last season. I hope you're joining again this year. Tell your friends, jump in. I'm on Facebook at the At Home Gooner. I'm on Twitter at Armchair Gooner. Get in touch with me. Contact me through the season. I want to try and do it all over again. Try and get some banter going. You know what it's like. Come and see me on Football Fan Vibe, and just enjoy your football. Cheers.